Welcome to SportsZone. I'm your host, Joslyn Mitchell, and we have you covered with the latest in Mean Green football, volleyball, and soccer, as well as the college playoff selection, the Dallas Cowboys, and the World Series. But first, let's start and get into our Mean Green football team. Joining me, I have Beane and Youmans. How are you guys?
Good, how you doing?
That's
Doing great.
Wonderful. Awesome. So let's get started. The Mean Green got a well-needed victory this past weekend against Old Dominion. This game was a big improvement over the previous game against Florida Atlantic. Old Dominion held their own until the UNT defense took charge in the third quarter. It was ignited by a sack from linebacker Joe Ozagu and defensive end Tillman Johnson. Following that, a fumble that Ladarius Hamilton recovered, leading into a game-tying field goal from Trevor Moore. Moments after, running back Nick Smith scored a go-ahead touchdown on a 20-yard run. The final score was 45-38. Yesterday, I was able to ask the Mean Green fans their opinion about the football team and our quest to a bowl. Take a look.
I do think we have a chance at winning the bowl game because I feel like our players are determined to win. Like once they get that attitude within themselves that we can go like really, really far. Sometimes it takes them a while or sometimes they get defeated. So it's kind of just like you playing a game of odds whenever we're out there watching them, but at the same time I feel like we're definitely capable of winning the bowl game. So it's not necessarily about like your talent or them having the skills. It's just kind of like a mind thing for them.
Definitely because our coach is not Pooh. And I believe that our coach, like literally the football coach, is the highest paid position at UNT. So, I mean, if your salary is getting paid and it's that high, like I expect a dub. And we've been going pretty good so far, so I hope that we're going to go to a bowl game and win the bowl game. Because my freshman year, we won a bowl game, so it was kind of really lit, so I hope that we can continue.
Yeah, just piggybacking off of what he said, same for me. My freshman year, UNT won a bowl game. So, but to answer your question, I do think we can, stay on top of Conference USA and win a bowl game because UNT is a winning program. We've shown that we can win games. We've got good players, good coaches. So I feel like we have the right support around us to win the bowl game.
I think we have a shot. It's like what they say when everyone's there, like in the stadium, like that whole energy with the crowd, like we'll win.
Yeah.
So people should just show up and be there and have that school spirit.
This upcoming weekend, we're playing against La Tech, which is a pretty big deal because it can make our chances greater actually going to a bowl game. Do you think we can come back with a win?
Yes. Yes, because didn't we win this recent game?
Yes.
Yeah, so we've won, we've been pretty consistent. So I'm honestly, usually I'm kind of I don't know, but after that last coach we had and this new coach that we have, it's kind of, I know some of the players and I feel they can come out on top.
Our history with La Tech is actually pretty spotty. We rarely win, so maybe this year we have a chance. I'm not exactly sure.
I don't know. It's La Tech. So I feel like it's going to be a good game, but we still can win though.
Now, looking at CUSA, in the East, Florida Atlantic is sitting at the top, undefeated in the conference. Are you all surprised by any chance at what Lane Kiffin has done to this organization?
Not necessarily. Lane Kiffin, he's a guy who has a pretty strong coaching record in terms of where he's been. Maybe not in terms of success at those places, but he's been able to bring in guys like Kendall Browse, for the offensive coordinator, and he's got athletes on that squad. He runs the same type of system as like a North Texas does, but he just has more athletes on both sides of the ball. They're able to utilize that. We saw that in the game that North Texas lost in Boca Raton. So at the same time, FAU's had some strength over the past couple of years. They just needed the right guy in charge, and I think Lane Kiffin's been that guy.
Yeah, most definitely. Like I said, this may be Lane Kiffin's last chance to land a big-time job in a big-time conference. So he's killing it right now at FAU. Of course, bringing Kendall Browse on, that was a smart move. Those two offensive gurus that are just killing it right now, as you saw when they put up 66 against us. And of course, bringing in those guys from Last Chance U, bringing in all those guys and giving them another chance to play football, and then they're getting good looks, hopefully they get to the next level. So I think what he's doing, he's done a tremendous job so far.
Yeah, he has. And now, speaking of North Texas, although we lost to them, we are still at number 1 in the West. Now, with our schedule being a little tight, do you think that we can still remain that spot?
Yeah, I think we do. Like everyone's been saying, like we control our own destiny. Now, the thing is that Southern Miss and UAB are nipping at our ankles because, Southern Miss is 4-3 and they have a good conference record, but they go play Tennessee, so that's probably a loss. And then UAB's doing well as well. So we just got to keep steady the boat.
Perfect.
Louisiana Tech, they're not as good as they've been in years past. They've been to a good amount of bowl games, but they're not as good as in years past. But we need to go up there and take them seriously and play our brand of football.
Really the biggest key for North Texas being able to make it into the Conference USA Championship game is this game against La Tech coming up on Saturday. If they win that game, they can drop one of the two final games of the season, either against the UTEP or Rice, both teams combining for one conference win between the two programs. So it's very likely, especially if North Texas is able to get the win on the road against the Bulldogs. But if you look at the way that North Texas has really set this up, the biggest wins are against, like you said, a UAB, a Southern Miss, a UTSA, all those teams that are right on our heels. La Tech's not far behind either.
Perfect. Now we're going to switch over a little bit into the playoff selection. Yesterday, the playoff committee released their first playoff rankings, with Georgia sitting in the #1 spot, followed by Alabama, Notre Dame, and Clemson following respectively. Now, Kyle, is your playoff thing pretty much the same?
Yeah, my playoff picks are really quite aligned with what the playoff selection committee actually put together for really the first time ever, I think. I think Georgia deserves to be in that #1 spot right now, not necessarily because Alabama's played poorly, but because Georgia's played some better competition throughout the season, and they've looked better against that good competition. Alabama hasn't done anything wrong. Nick Saban's still Nick Saban. They're going to be able to ride a big win streak, but I think right now Georgia deserves that #1 spot.
Perfectly. Real quick, does yours agree with that as well?
Yeah, I believe that. I wouldn't put Georgia #1. I just, I believe in Bama. There's no reason for them to not be there, even though they haven't played the competition Georgia had, but their schedule is very back heavy. I would have put Oklahoma at #4 though.
Yeah.
I know they lost to Iowa State, but that's looking like a very good loss because Iowa State is better than what we thought they were.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much. Stick around, more Mean Green Sports after the break.
Those pearly whites, man. Ooh, cute.
Are you good to try?
I'm fine.
Hey girl, what's the name? What's up? How many did you have?
I should be fine.
You should be.
Sir, go and step out of the vehicle for me.
Yes, sir. See ya, buddy. Today, Sean's got a hearing. We'll see how it goes. Good luck. So turns out, buzz driving and drunk driving, they're the same thing, and it costs around $10,000. So not worth it.
Hey, look, it's those guys. Are you good to drive?
I'm fine.
How many did you have?
I should be fine.
You should be.
Go and step out of the vehicle for me.
See ya, buddy. Good luck. So turns out, buzz driving and drunk driving, they're the same thing, and it costs around $10,000. So not worth it.
Junior setter Carly York was named the league's Setter of the Week, and outside hitter Barbara Tickle is Freshman of the Week. These two girls have made the award list for the second time in 3 weeks. The Mean Green volleyball team made up for its only CUSA loss against Southern Miss with a 3-2 win against the Golden Eagles this past Sunday. Guys, I need you to help me out here. Now, this team is doing really good. They're on a nine-game winning streak. Do you think they have what it takes to continue, and can they knock off Western Kentucky?
I definitely think they can. I was on the call for that Southern Miss game, and you see really flashes of really the best team in the conference every couple of sets from this North Texas team. I think if they're able to put those together in a Western Kentucky matchup like you talked about, that could really decide who wins the regular season and who's the top seed in the Conference USA tournament coming up in Bowling Green. But, I mean, they have so much around really the core of girls that they have, like an Amanda Chamberlain, a Holly Milam, and then you add in a Carly York. Those are three players that should deserve all conference first team mention. I mean, there's those three, and then you look at really the depth that they've been able to add, and Coach Andrew Paoleo has done a great job around the core. You have girls like you talked about, Barbara Tiekle, she's a freshman. She's coming in. She is outstanding, flying from the outside. Andy Ely, another freshman that's been really showing up and playing very well for Coach Paoleo. He's got an entire bench full of girls that are really able to come in and make an immediate impact. And I think Emma Aiken we haven't seen the best of Emma Aiken this year, and she's a 6'4" outside hitter. She could really make an impact later on in the season if she gets back into a rhythm.
Perfect.
Yeah, most definitely. Like you said, all those are great points. If they do lose to Western Kentucky, I wouldn't dwell on it so much.
No, not at all.
Most definitely. That's a great team. 21 wins in a row and counting. That's absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So I do believe in this North Texas team. People are selling out the seats. It's a different atmosphere in there. So let's go.
I think that's great. Now we're going to switch gears and we're going to go over to the other Mean Green sport, which is soccer. To say the North Texas soccer team is doing good would be an understatement. This team has not lost a home game for 9 seasons. UNT is going into its Conference USA tournament as the number 2 seed, and on Wednesday they will be facing the number 7 seed, Middle Tennessee. If we win, we will play the winner of the UAB Florida Atlantic game. How confident, first I want to say, do you guys think, how far do you think you guys can even get?
Oh, the championship.
Oh, yeah, for
there's
sure.
no, I don't expect them to make anything but the championship. Especially once North Texas soccer touches that tournament, they become a different team. They're good, they're great in the regular season, but once it's tournament time, they know how to play. Especially when I'm already looking ahead to Rice. Rice is ranked 21 in the country, so we got definitely a big task with them, but I think we have the keys to get it done, most definitely.
Yes,
you look at this soccer program and what they've been able to do and what Coach John Hedlund has done in his 23 seasons here in Denton, and really the kind of dynasty that he started to build in the Conference USA. It's crazy to say that being the number 2 seed in the conference is a down year for North Texas soccer because there's so many championship banners sitting there at the Mean Green Soccer Complex. You look at really what North Texas did last year in the tournament. They got to the championship game. They got knocked off by that Rice squad that went on to, of course, become who they are this year. Rice almost ended that North Texas home winning streak and or I guess it would be lossless streak. Unbeaten, I guess, is the correct term. They almost ended that, but North Texas was able to score in the final minutes and end up with a tie in that ball game. A little bit of revenge factor on the mind for North Texas soccer if they end up meeting a Rice Owls team in that championship game.
I think that's perfect. Now, we already know, because I definitely have confidence in this team. This team has been amazing for the longest since before I was here. Who do you think that we have to fear? Who is the most fearful team that we will be facing against in this tournament?
I think it would have to be Rice. I mean, as we talk about it all the way through, I don't think, like Connor said, there's any question that North Texas can make it to this championship game. Maybe a UAB, maybe a Florida Atlantic could potentially come in and sneak one away from you. But I think overall, I mean, whenever you're facing a top 25 AP team in a championship game at that level, of course, you're going to have some nervousness. You're going to have some uneasiness in terms of going into that game. But I think this North Texas program is very level-headed.
Yeah, I totally agree with Kyle. Most definitely.
Perfect, perfect. Don't touch that remote. The Cowboys and World Series update is next.
Start a story. Adopt at theshelterpetproject.org.
Okay, so we drowned the fire, stirred it, drowned it again, and now just feel if it's cold.
Yeah.
Cool.
Smokey just gave me a bear hug.
I know. I already posted it.
I'm a retired school psychologist, and helping people was my thing. After my stroke, when Meals on Wheels started, I was on the other end of the stick, so to speak. And I appreciated it very much, the attention that was given to it. My name is Julius Gaines, creative writer, poet, photographer. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Bye-bye.
Hi. Hoping for a crisp breeze to help keep you alert. Oh, he took a sip of water too. That'll probably help. You were probably gonna turn down the radio too, so you could focus, right?
Probably okay isn't okay.
Right.
If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
I think the water line is what really drove it home. I blew on him.
The Dallas Cowboys won on the road this past weekend against the Washington Redskins, winning 33-19. And this past Monday, it was announced Ezekiel Elliott's 6-game suspension will be upheld and go into effect this week. And last night, the NFLPA filed an emergency motion to stop the suspension, with the Cowboys getting into their toughest part of the season. Do you think that we can actually make it without Zeke?
I mean, we're going to have to. You know, there's a reason that we that we acquired Alfred Morris 2 years ago so we can have a dual running back with him and McFadden. Like, we had no plan on drafting Zeke until, you know, we decided to do it at number 4 two years ago. But we were going to do Morris and McFadden. So now's the time to put that plan into effect and see how it goes, you know.
I do think that brings up a good point, but another situation is I think for last weekend's game versus the Redskins, defense actually put up a good fight. They had 4 sacks. They had a 1 turnover from the defense, and they also had 1 blocked field goal that returned 85 yards. So between the special team and the defense, they actually put up a good fight, and they showed that even though everyone is talking about them saying defense isn't doing what they're supposed to do, offense can relax, because that was actually a wet game. It's really hard for the offense to do what they need to do on games like that. But how do you think about our offense going on from here?
Oh, our offense, you know, I believe in our offense, you know. Like I said, Alfred Morris is back there. You know, we need to activate McFadden. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know if injuries, but him and Rod Smith are going to have to do that 3 running back by committee thing. Dak is going to have to take some chances down the field. I know he likes to dink and play safe and all that stuff, but he has a monster like Des Bryant running down the field. He's going to have to take chances on, and then factor in Cole Beasley, Switz, T-Will.
So what about the defense? We had a good start this past weekend. Do you think we can do good from now on?
Well, you know, hopefully that Washington game gave them some confidence that they definitely needed.
That's different.
But so we got a tough part of our schedule coming up: Chiefs, Falcons, Eagles.
Yeah.
You know, all great offenses. You know, really can move the ball down the field really well. So it's going to be definitely a good test for our young secondary. Going to be a test for our pass rushers. DeMarcus Lawrence is still leading the league in sacks. David Irvin is doing great. You know, he has like 5 sacks in like 9 quarters or maybe he played, you know. So, you know, it's going to be a tough test, but I believe that they can hopefully get the job done, hopefully win like 2 of those games.
Perfect. Now we're going to switch and play a little game. It's called Who Runs. Now, I want you to tell me, I'm going to give you the overall. I'm not going to give you NFC, East, West. We're going to say, I want you to give me who runs your NFC football team as of now.
The NFC in the conference?
Yes.
I hate to say it, but I have to go with the Eagles. You know, they got the best record, 7-1. So right now the Eagles are running the NFC.
Okay. Now, who would you say runs the AFC?
Most years it would be the Patriots, but I got to go with the Chiefs this year. I think the Chiefs I think they may be the most complete team in the NFL. Great on offense, great on defense, great on special teams.
With that being said, we're going to have a really good game. In case you've missed Game 6 of the World Series, Kyle and Peyton have your update.
Yeah, thank you very much, Joslyn. And by now you've already heard that, of course, the World Series going to a winner-take-all Game 7 between the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Houston Astros. Kyle Youmans alongside Peyton Russell, and Peyton bringing you in to talk some baseball now. And unfortunately, our Rangers not in the World Series this year, but they do get Yu Darvish on the mound for the Dodgers tonight as a little, I guess, secondary prize for having Yu Darvish. But what does he bring to the table in terms of a Game 7 starter and really trying to rebound after a rough Game 3?
Well, if the baseballs are juiced like they are, he's not going to have any slider or slick on that, grip. So, but no, Yu Darvish, he's been in this situation before. He's pitched on the road in the playoffs before. He knows what it's going to take, but I don't think he needs to go the entire game. I think Dave Roberts wants him to go about 4 or 5 innings because you forget in that bullpen, you have Clayton Kershaw, who only threw 94 pitches in Game 5, which wasn't his best outing, but I think if you can get 4 to 5 innings out of Yu Darvish, 2 innings of Clayton Kershaw, Kenley Jansen closes it out the last 2 innings.
Yeah. And you talk about the bullpen for the Dodgers, but let's switch things over to that Astros bullpen that's been pretty dismal throughout the first 6 games of the series. And this is an Astros team that has so many strengths, so many things that are going right for them. The bullpen just can't turn it around for some reason. Why is that, and what is this bullpen going to have to do in Game 7 to try and win it on the road?
Well, I think the bullpen for the Astros, it's their biggest kryptonite. You know, there's nights where some nights they look unstoppable and just unbeatable, and then there's nights like Game 5 and last night where they just can't get the job done. They look beatable. And so for the Astros, I think it's, not maybe get to the bullpen as quick as possible. Since it's been a weak point, I think Lance McCullers, the starter for the Astros, has to go as deep in the game as possible. And you might even see Keuchel come out of the bullpen too.
Yeah. And you looked at Lance McCullers last night after the game 6 loss. He was warming up in the outfield, getting ready for this
game. He said,
Game
"Give me the
7.
ball right now."
Real quick, give me a prediction. Who wins tonight? Dodgers, Astros.
Dodgers wins. Jock Peterson MVP.
Wow, interesting. Jock Peterson MVP pick. I'm going to go with the Astros 2-7. Sorry to all our Astros fans. Back to you, Joslyn.
After the break, we will give you our top 5 games for the weekend.
It's fine that other people like you. It's more important that you like yourself. And I'm comfortable with every part of me. Meals on Wheels coming to my door as someone who's housebound assures me that I'm not forgotten. They care that I'm okay. My name is Asha Ida Bell. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Oh, emojis. I thought the conversation just got dumber.
Ugh, internet trolls, just ignore them.
I like you just the way you are.
I believe in you.
She's a hugger. Give her a squeeze.
Help up the hand.
Ah, there you go.
Thanks, mate.
You're killing it, Jane!
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes and you come to mine. This is it, first impression, my way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
This is the moment I knew his future had no boundaries.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
It is now time for our top 5 games for the weekend. Kyle, we're going to start with you.
Well, my first game that I want to talk about is the one that's happening tonight and the one that Peyton and I just talked about, World Series Game 7. It's not necessarily the weekend preview, quote unquote, but it is a game that's coming up in the next couple of days that I'm definitely going to be glued to the television watching. It's going to be unbelievable.
Cool. What about you?
Yeah, and one of mine is probably going to be the UNT versus the La Tech game. Of course, bringing on for the school. It's a big game for us, really big game for us. So we got to come out and try to get this win.
Any more?
We'll go ahead and go through the rest of my list. I think next I'm going to go with Oklahoma State, a college football game that's going to be really high scoring, high energy, bedlam. It's always crazy. It's on the road at Oklahoma State. I think Mason Rudolph is going to have a great game, and it's going to really expose the Sooners secondary. Other than that, for once, I'm going to talk a little NBA. I think Warriors at the Spurs is going to be an interesting game to watch. Of course, both teams very strong contenders in the Western Conference, and the first time that they're going to meet during this 2017 season. Ohio State at Iowa, that doesn't necessarily look like really a game that's going to be prime time. Everybody's going to be watching, but I think it's an interesting matchup for Ohio State, after going on the road and beating a Penn State, or actually it wasn't on the road, it was at home, beating a Penn State team in the last seconds, comeback fashion. Now they've got to go on the road and play a solid Iowa team that North Texas has already seen. And then finally, of course, I got to go with the North Texas and La Tech matchup.
Perfect.
Yeah, going down my list, I love the basketball off mine. I think it's a little too early in the season to get a little excited for basketball. Probably put it on maybe like 40 games down the season, but I agree with you. The Bedlam game, Oklahoma State is going to be great. You got two Heisman contenders, Baker Mayfield, Mason Rudolph. I think it's going to be a gunslinger show. I think they're both going to put up 400 yards, and I think it's going to be a really good game, really fun game to watch. Next up, I got number 13, Virginia Tech, at number 10, Miami. Now, both of these teams, trying to make cases for themselves. Miami is still undefeated. There's some questions on, if they're as good as they think they are, or as good as their records show. So I think this is a good opportunity for them to show how good they really are. Next, I got Alabama and LSU. I think Alabama's going to blow them out the water, but I really enjoy the Alabama-LSU games because sometimes they're unpredictable, but I think Bama's kind of upset because they're ranked number 2, so this is a really good chance for them to show how good they are. Finally, round out my weekend, I got the Cowboys versus the Chiefs in Dallas. Going to be a great game. I really think the Cowboys are going to have a really good showing. The Chiefs, like I said, the most complete team in the NFL, so it's going to be a really good test for the Cowboys.
I think that's the perfect way to end your weekend. Mine is going to start on Friday. I have the New Orleans Pelicans versus the Mavs. Now,
there's some basketball.
We're not,
a little bit of basketball in here.
We're not doing the best right now. Mavericks is not doing the best, but we also have a little speckle of light future. We have Dennis Smith Jr., who is 19 years old and is already making big noise, and he's already doing big things. And, of course, it might be the obvious that New Orleans is going to win because they have Anthony Davis and everyone else. But I do believe that because it's early in the season, Dennis Smith is going to show up, and then he's going to really help out the team. I also have, on the same day, I have Boston Celtics and OKC. I haven't really been able to see any of the Boston games, so that's why I really want to see this one. I'm very curious to see what Uncle Drew, a.k.a. Kyrie Irving, is doing with his new team, as well as the triple-double king and Melo. I really want to see them work together. And then I have Penn State versus Michigan. I really want to see this one because Penn State is in the family. My sister goes there. But I also like the fact that, unfortunately, Penn State was number 2 until Ohio knocked us down to number 7. But they also have a front runner for the Heisman, Saquon. And I think that they're going to do a really good job. I think they're going to do some really good things. And I'm also going to wind down my Sunday with Kansas City Chiefs versus the Dallas Cowboys. We're going to be home in Jerry's World. And I think that's going to be a good job because you already said Kansas City is something to mess with. And then we're going through our situation with Zeke Elliott. And then now, based off last Sunday, defense is starting to step up. We're starting to improve. We still have Des Bryant. Of course, we still have Dak. So I think we're going to keep doing what we've been doing. And regardless of the situation, I think that'll be the best fit. Speaking of the Ezekiel Elliott situation, we're going to switch subjects. Do you think that this will actually win? Because he's been battling this all season. He's done his TRO twice. And what's going on? What do you think?
I think it's just delaying the inevitable. I think if you're the Cowboys right now, you serve the 6-game suspension. You hope that maybe you can come out of there 3-3. The NFC's looking pretty weak this year. If you come out 3-3, you get Zeke back a couple weeks before the playoffs. You have a very strong chance of getting a wild card spot. You're looking at the division right now with Philadelphia up at the top at 7-1. That's going to be really tough to try and climb your way back into that division. Yeah. I think right now the best thing for the Cowboys is to sit Zeke down, go ahead and serve that suspension, and then try and maybe develop a Dak Prescott and other players around there. Maybe even try and see if Alfred Morris is what he used to be with the Redskins.
Very true.
Yeah, most definitely. Like, a part of me just wants him to get it over with. So just in case we do make the playoffs, we won't have to happen like dead while we're trying to make our playoff push. So I need They need to sit him down, just let him handle it, and come back pissed off and stronger than ever, ready to wreak havoc on the league.
Thank you so much, Connor and Kyle. And also thank you, Peyton, for the update. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at NT SportsZone. Listen to our Overtime podcast, as well as subscribe to our YouTube channel. Mean Green Game Day is this Saturday at 2:30 p.m. Central Time. Thank you all for watching. And also, we would like to wish our producer, Jonathan, a happy birthday. We will see you same place, same time next week.